This episode of Sideline Warning is brought to you by Roosport, makers of the original magnetic running pouch. Whether you're biking, running, hiking, or even traveling, the Roosport clips to your waistband with magnets for an easy, convenient way to carry what you need without the bulk of belts or bags. Visit theroosport.com and use the code SIDELINE30, all lowercase, for 30% off their entire product line. Again, that's theroosport.com, promo code SIDELINE30. And now on with the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sideline Warning, the show where sports takes are sure to go way too far into the field. Here to recap this week's biggest and best sports stories are your hosts, Dave Adams, Ben Foster, and Adam Russell.
And welcome into Sideline Warning, everybody. Normally I would be very, very, very happy and jovial, but this hasn't been a good week for the Alabama Crimson Tide. But it's a fun time because the three of us are back and we're here with you talking sports. As always, you've got the golden voice of the Southeast, the one, the only Dave Adams, coming to you live and in living person from Harvest, Alabama, and I have brought my friends along. All the way from Birmingham, Alabama. He has a new puppy, the one, the only, Hollywood Ben Foster.
I do have a new puppy.
What's the puppy's name, Ben?
The puppy's name is Shoeless Joe, in honor of the great Shoeless Joe Jackson, who should be in the Hall of Fame.
He should. That's a conversation we should get into later.
That'll be a good summertime discussion.
So when I did public speaking, my first speech was the persuasive speech, and mine was a 10-minute rant. Me going on rants, right? That never happens. But a 10-minute rant on why Shoeless Joe should be in the Hall of Fame.
I'm amazed you kept a rant under 10 minutes.
I know, right? Did you know that Shoeless Joe on the 1919 World Series, he supposedly threw the whole thing, but he had the highest batting average of the entire Black Sox the entire World Series, but he threw it because he signed an X by his name. He didn't know, he couldn't read or write, but he signed
a guy who was basically illiterate, and he signs an X, and it's like, what?
Yeah. So okay, we'll save that rant for later.
That'll be a good summertime discussion.
Did you have fun in San Jose, whatever?
Francisco. It's only one of the biggest cities in the country. Yeah, Santa Clara was where the game was.
Yeah.
And in spite of the game, everything else was pretty fun.
Did you pay $20 for a beer?
No, I paid $14 for one for my friend. I bought a Coke. Because I was trying to get a souvenir cup to remember the game by, and then I promptly forgot my souvenir cup and left it at the stadium, which is fine because I don't want to remember this game.
All right, well let's talk. Save the talk for the game when our other friend from Pine Castle, the House of Mouse, Pine Hill, Poinciana, Meadow Woods, Maitland, Longwood, Lockwood, Leesburg, St. Cloud, the phenomenal brother, the voice of the Sideline Report, Adam Russell. Adam, what's going on, man? Adam, are you on mute? Have we lost Adam?
My bad. No, I'm here. Okay. It's cold down here. It's so cold I can't even get my microphone to work down here. It is in the 50s this morning in Florida, which for us is frigid.
Cold. Adam, we're dealing with 20s right now. Let's see. According to my Apple Watch, it's 46 right now. But
yeah. So while we're talking pets, we have a bearded dragon. I think we need a thing called Pets of Sideline Warning.
I don't. Do my daughters count as pets? Because I don't know.
No, you need to step it up, Dave.
Well,
he has a new puppy.
Program,
have
Dave.
A new bearded dragon. It's your turn.
Y'all heard that eventually we're going to get a golden retriever.
Eventually.
Because
you need to
my daughter is young. She's not old enough to have a puppy yet. I don't think you could trust a 1-year-old or a 4-year-old with a puppy yet. So, I mean, how old was Aiden?
It's all in how you raise them, Dave.
Emma was 1 and Aiden was 5.
Okay, so that's about
where you are right now.
Yeah, shut up. But you don't travel as much as I do. Oh wait, Ben's got a puppy and he travels more than I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got a really strong support team though. I have a community of puppy supporters that support my travel plans and my puppy plans.
So would you say that they're your puppy's foster parents?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So Dave,
something
talk about
along
sports.
those lines.
No, I can't. Since we're okay, fine. Before we get into the bad news of the sports, I have another dad joke, and I've got to share this because I shared it on the group text, and let me find it again because Adam laughed really hard at this, I think. So, did y'all hear about the shooting at the White House? There was this shooting at the White House, and luckily there was this rookie secret security agent that was on his first day of the job. This possible assassin steps out, he steps forward, aims a gun, and the secret security agent yelled, "Mickey Mouse!" And the assassin just ran away. Later, the agent was asked, "What in the crap made you yell Mickey Mouse?" He said, "Man, I got scared. I was nervous, and I meant to yell Donald Duck." Okay.
Oh man.
He was a secret security agent, Dave.
Shut up. It's early.
That's the new. It's a government shutdown. They have secret security instead of secret service right now.
Right.
Security.
All right. So now that we're all jovial, let's get into something not jovial. Oh, I hate that we're doing this because it's about a week old, but let's talk the game. Clemson won 44-16. Ben, we haven't got your thoughts on this yet. Adam and I had our halftime report. We did the Facebook Live, and we got and said our thoughts on it. What was your thought on the first half? You were there, so you got to see the crowd reaction. You got to see and feel how everybody was feeling. What were your thoughts?
At halftime, there was still a good bit of confidence that Alabama could win the game. And it just meant making some really primo halftime adjustments. Clemson clearly had a lot of momentum, but it seemed like Alabama could make some adjustments. What was effective in the first half, but wasn't used as much as I thought it could be, was the Wildcat with Josh Jacobs. And that seemed to work really well. And then yet there would be some short yardage situations, some goal line situations where they could have gone to it and didn't go back to it. Also, Josh Jacobs was a quarterback in high school. He knows how to throw the ball, and Alabama has not passed out of the Wildcat with Josh Jacobs back there. Why not go with something like that to kind of shake things up and kind of go for the jugular? Something else I have to tell you guys, during halftime, I had awesome seats, 8th row behind the goalpost, and during halftime, it was like duck and cover. It was like bombs were going off around us. And the reason why was there weren't bombs. There were footballs flying into the stands, hitting on either side of us. Boom, 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 boom. Because Bulovas got the yips. And he couldn't hit the net on an extra point, on a field goal.
Oh, my goodness.
Anything. And it was absolutely terrifying because balls were like landing. They were they hit TV cameras, they hit people, and they were bouncing all over the place and not hitting the net. Not hitting the goalpost, not hitting the crossbar, nothing. They were hitting the stands, wide left, wide right, either side. It was unreal. So then the second half starts, and Bulovas comes out there to kick, and me and my buddy look at each other and go, did nobody watch the warm-up? How do you send Bulovas out there to kick? Well, they didn't send Bulovas out there to kick. They sent him out there to block.
That was the worst. I mean, somebody came out and said, I forget who it was that came out and said he missed a block and Bulovas wasn't supposed to be the lead blocker. But here's what makes me the most mad. They were in field goal safe. It was an easy timeout. Let's recall this play. I hate to say this, guys, and I didn't even bring this up at the halftime talk, but I knew this game was over when there was still a minute and a half left on the clock, and Saban kneels the ball or just runs a run play and doesn't call a timeout. Saban gave up. Adam, this is going against your rant on the sideline report. I know. I've been there. I lived through losing to UCF. I lived through losing to UCLA. I lived through the bad, dark ages of Alabama. I can handle losing a good game. This wasn't a good game. This was we got outcoached, outplayed, outmanned, out everything.
Yeah.
So
well, it was obvious, guys. I mean, the interception Tua threw. You saw the cornerback. I think it was the second interception he threw, right? Because the first one was the pick six. The cornerback was covering our tight end out wide, right? And as soon as they snap the ball, he runs the other way down the field and basically becomes another safety, because they knew Tua was going to throw about the same pattern we threw against Georgia to win the game that time. You could tell, looking at some of the things that they did, they knew our tendencies. And they got into his head because they knew. And there are stats out there now that people are pulling together that shows when Tua goes up against a top 30 defense, he's not nearly as effective. And I think that goes the same for any quarterback. I think you could say that's equal across the board, with maybe the exception of a handful of people. But you look at what Clemson did, and you hear the reports that they prepared for us more than anybody else, right? It was clear. They knew what our tendencies were, and we didn't change. I think the biggest thing is we didn't change anything going into this game. Tua felt like standing in that pocket that he could throw any ball anywhere and the person's going to come down with it. But when the miscommunication started to pile up, and I think when we dug ourselves a hole at the start, and then it just started to become something we couldn't manage anymore. And I don't disagree with Saban's call at the half. We're getting the ball back. We're getting the ball back with the second half kick. It's better to go in knowing you're about to get the ball back at the exact same spot you've already got it. Let's avoid any mistakes. Things aren't working the way we need to. Let's get in. Let's make some adjustments. Come out. We're going to get the ball back, and we're going to make something good happen. And, I mean, I don't disagree with that call. I think you could have run a few plays to see if you get a big one, but then you're also running the risk that we throw another turnover, right? So I don't disagree with that per se, but I do think that when you drive down to the one several times, you can't stick it in. When your field goals and your extra points aren't happening, it just wasn't our night. It had that feel to it, but we got out coached. They were ready. Yeah. And it's almost like they didn't even watch Notre Dame. They're like, if we prepare for Alabama, we can definitely be prepared for Notre Dame.
Well, that's true. That's very true. And the report came out. We're recording this on Saturday morning. The report came out Friday that from Huntsville's own Cole Kublik that it looks like the entire month of December, Clemson spent preparing for Alabama, knowing that they'd probably win the Oklahoma game, and only spent about a week, couple days of practice preparing for Notre Dame. This brings up another point. I hate to be this Alabama fan, but I'm going to be this Alabama fan for a second. But how fair was it that Alabama had to play the number one offense versus the number one, whatever. I know Oklahoma had no defense, but Alabama's defense had to prepare for that Oklahoma offense. And that took a toll on this defense. How fair was it as the top seed, Alabama had to play probably the toughest team besides Clemson? You would think as a top seed, then we're going to put this in basketball terms. As the number one seed, Duke is going to get Coastal Carolina or Northeastern or Northwestern or some team that Alabama's probably already lost to. But
my eyes are rolling. Dear listener, there's no way to record the sound of my eyes rolling, but my eyes are rolling and they can't stop rolling.
They probably know that by me saying that.
That could so easily be a GIF, too. That's a shame we didn't get that.
I know. But so in basketball, the number one seed gets the easiest team in the tournament. In football, it seemed like Alabama got the hardest team besides Clemson. If Alabama played Notre Dame, it would be 63-0, and Alabama would still be scoring. But we got probably the toughest test in college football this year.
Well, and this is going to sound like a whiny Alabama fan, and I've heard that there are a lot of those from every other fan base that's out there, that we do nothing but whine and talk smack. But it really isn't an equal draw. The competition was a little bit different between Notre Dame and Oklahoma, who we had to play. But they got to play in a dome, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, they did.
And we played in Miami in 70, 80-degree temperatures with 76% humidity against Oklahoma.
Okay,
it's not an equal draw. Well, I'm just saying. For the guys on the field,
it was cool and comfortable in Miami. It was more comfortable in Miami than if it had been at the indoor practice facility in Tuscaloosa.
But you look at those guys on the field and how gassed they started to get in the third quarter compared to previous games. that they had been playing, and it was different for them playing there. And I think chasing Kyler Murray around in that kind of an environment was harder for them than it was for Clemson playing Notre Dame. And I think we entered this game still a little bit gassed from having to play Oklahoma. Maybe it wasn't middle of summer, middle of July like it normally is in Miami, but it's a different environment than playing in a dome. And it's a different team than Notre Dame. So the draw, I don't think, was equal. I would chalk up maybe 10, 15% of what happened in the national championship game to the team we had to play and the environment we had to play it in. I'm not saying that it's all of it, because we obviously got out-coached. But I think our team was still a little gassed. I don't think they had that spark, especially on defense.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, though. The way Alabama played so poorly and the way it appears Alabama game planned so poorly, if Alabama had to face Notre Dame and Clemson had to face Oklahoma, I get it. Clemson would have spent more time on Oklahoma. But I think at best, Alabama and Clemson draw even at that point. Clemson was so ready to play and so vastly outplayed Alabama.
Okay, but so you do that. Alabama game plans for Notre Dame for 3 weeks like Saban does. But this means that Dabo and his staff have to game plan for Oklahoma for 3 weeks and only get 1 week of game plan against Alabama. For 1 week of game planning against Alabama, you don't see that same style of coaching that you saw. So to Adam's point, 10 to 15% of the draw, and then the rest of its coaching, I think the coaching was the rest of it. So if Clemson doesn't have that coaching edge, right, if Clemson doesn't have that coaching edge,
we draw even.
Okay, great. Then it's a better game. Then it's the Clemson-Alabama games we've seen in the past.
So, yeah, Alabama wasn't ready to play.
No, they weren't at all. And the one thing that really bugs me the whole time, Tua Tagovailoa is a great quarterback. He might be one of the best quarterbacks this game has ever seen. But I saw something in Tua on Monday that I have never seen in Tua Tagovailoa. He was rattled after the first interception. I don't know if I think I might have texted you guys and said, we're done. Because I've saw him do something that he has never done. He didn't hold his head high on the sideline and start going back to the drawing board. He dropped his head and was almost feeling sorry for himself. I've never seen Tua do that. So were the injuries getting to him? Was he just doubting himself? Did he think that he was going to get a spanking at the end of the game from his dad? I mean, what was going on with Tua?
He didn't have a good game. He was due to not have a good game.
Well, he didn't have a good game against Georgia. He didn't have a good game against Auburn. He didn't have
this time. He was healthy.
This
time he was healthy.
Okay.
In those other games, he was nicked up, but he I think he looked at it and goes, "Uh-oh, our game plan's not going to work." I think a lot of people looked at that first interception and go, "Okay, our game plan's not going to work."
So I've heard
Mike Tyson had the line, "Everybody has a game plan until they get punched in the mouth." And that's what happened. Clemson punched Alabama in the mouth, and a lot of these guys on this team, some of the best players were sophomores. They haven't been punched in the mouth before like that. And it took a minute to recover, and then Alabama responded to it after that first interception. Tua had a couple of good drives. At the end of the first quarter, Alabama was vastly outpacing Clemson in terms of total yardage. It just wasn't translating to points. And kudos to Brent Venables. He may be the coach of the year. Forget giving it to a head coach. Clemson was defensively prepared to win this game.
So before we start talking about coaching, this is a topic I want to get into that'll move on into another topic, not the game. But let's think for a second. This was brought to me by a friend of mine, friend of the show. He just started listening to the show. A guy I actually marched in the band with at Alabama, David St. John. Let's get back in our Wayback Machine. If we could say any game of all time starts the modern era of football, let's look at 2008 Alabama Clemson. 2008 Alabama Clemson was the start, I would say, of this Alabama dynasty. Because Alabama dominated Clemson like we did, Clemson was forced to fire Tuberville and bring in Dabo Swinney.
Fire who?
Tuberville.
Try again.
Not Tuberville, Bowden.
A different
I'm sorry.
Tommy. A different Tommy altogether.
Different Tommy. Sorry. Bowden, Tommy Bowden. But because Alabama trounced Clemson so bad that game, they were forced to fire Tommy Bowden, which brought in an unknown Dabo Swinney as an interim head coach. Clemson goes off and takes the interim off because he has a good season. Dabo starts the Clemson dynasty. And 2008, Alabama-Clemson in the then Georgia Dome is the game we can point to that starts this modern dynasty of Alabama and Clemson. Any thoughts?
Yeah, maybe Saban should have not gone so hard after Clemson in that game. I think Tommy Bowden would have gotten fired anyway. That entire season didn't execute. So I don't know that how Alabama played in that one game was Saban's own undoing of himself. But it definitely was a major turning point and certainly had ramifications. That's the butterfly beating its wings, flapping its wings and it creating a hurricane somewhere else. That's exactly what happened because that got all the other dominoes falling. And yes, I just threw like 6 metaphors together.
You did. Butterfly Effect. Great movie, by the way.
Yep.
So, all right,
great
Adam.
movie, really. Wow.
Oh,
okay.
You did like
That's a
Butterfly
hot. No. Okay. You threw me off with that, Dave. I can't comment on that. So I agree. I think the combination of that game and last year's Sugar Bowl, one brought Dabo into Clemson and started that ball rolling. Last year's Sugar Bowl made him rethink the type of offense he wanted to run, which brought Trevor Lawrence into the picture. I think those two together both added up to what we saw in this last game. But I do think that one had the most impact. I mean, it's the big hire that we keep expecting to see in the basketball realm, Dave, because your various hashtags and all of that we'll get into in a second. But it's hiring a Saban, hiring a Dabo. It's that one hire that works out and that you ride that for a couple of decades and you're there. Both of those programs made good hires. It's Oklahoma with Lincoln Riley. I think that, it triggered the competition level that we see today. What I like now, though, is how Saban is using his mystical powers, the same mystical powers that he used losing the Iron Bowl so that Gus got a contract extension and we ended up going anyway without having to play Georgia. I believe Kirby said we just sat there while everybody beat everybody else up, right? It's the same mystical powers that send Loxley to Maryland and Dan Enos to Miami. Those same mystical powers have now put competition back into the ACC, which most likely means that another player might head to one of those universities.
Well, so nice segue. But I do also, before we get into all that, so let's look into some other reasons why some fans of Sideline Warning have said that this loss might have happened like it did. I think that this is from CJ. How many assistants or coaches has Saban lost in the past 5 years?
A number of them.
Right.
No fewer than 137.
Well, not okay, but
a lot.
Right. In Dabo's tenure at Alabama or at Clemson, how many assistants or coaches has he lost?
Oh, none. He's kept them all around.
Right.
And Hunter Renfrow too.
Yeah, and Renfrow because he's been there for 50 years.
But that's like at different points in their track. Like Brent Venables, people are like, it's amazing he's kept Brent Venables around. It's amazing Saban kept Kirby Smart for 9 years.
It's true.
Brent Venables is a great defensive coordinator. So is Kirby Smart, and I'm not sure Brent Venables would be that great of a head coach.
Wait a second. I thought about something. Dabo has lost people. Chad Morris was Clemson's offensive coordinator, wasn't he?
I mean, Dabo hasn't had zero turnover. He just hasn't had in the last couple of years. He hasn't had a ton of turnover.
Well, and I think Adam, I think you might have said this. We're finally starting to see the output of what all this turnover and what all this attrition is losing or meaning to Alabama. We're finally starting to see maybe if we had a single voice, then it might be better. I think the lessons learned from Clemson is maybe Nick's way of doing things is the way of the dinosaur, and coaches might want that time with family that Dabo's letting their player his coaches do. And I don't know. Go ahead, Adam.
Would you be saying that Clemson perhaps takes an approach of fun while Alabama does not? Something along those lines?
I'm not saying fun, but I'm saying that he gives it's not always nose to the grindstone. It's more of a family atmosphere, not a business atmosphere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they both seem to be successful in their own ways. But I mean, if you think when the last time we lost a national championship game was to who?
Clemson.
And what happened right before that game in our coordinator ranks?
Yeah, we lost everybody.
And Sarkisian had to step in, and
right.
The rest is history. So I don't think that that's not a contributing factor. I think it does contribute, but I think that it's the same thing, that a program that is this successful is going to have that. And Clemson will reach a point now that everybody's officially stamped Alabama's dynasty is over, and that Clemson is just beginning. Clemson will probably have the same turnover in the next 2 to 3 years because of the development. If Dabo just ends up though where he doesn't develop people to move on to different roles like Saban does, you may not see it. But that's part of this is what I was trying to make my point in my thing is the process is about winning, but the process is also about development. And when these people come in and they learn under Saban and they get useful information that they can then use as value for other organizations, it is like a business, but that's part of the process. That's part of it. And if we want him to hire an offensive coordinator like Kirby Smart, keep him for 9 years, I don't think that's where he is right now. Because he's on his not saying that he's doing it on purpose, but Saban's not going to be around for 10, 15 more years.
Right.
And he's trying to make as much as an impact as he can. And yes, he's going to win national championships. We'll win 1 or 2 more while he's still there, hopefully. But I think right now his focus is on developing people and making a legacy that way also. Not just who can I hang on so that we win as many games as possible. That's the process.
So
development.
So is your perspective on hiring Dabo Swinney down the road when Saban's not in the picture, has that changed? You guys have both said Dabo's not the right guy for Alabama.
I think he would be successful at Alabama. I don't like some of the things that he said. I don't like some of the approaches he has to different things. But ultimately, at the end of the day, he's one of the few people that we can have continuity with in terms of our success if we hire. And so I think it just depends on, do we want to hire an Avery Johnson or do we want to hire Nick Saban? And if we want to hire Nick Saban, Dabo's on the short list.
BenIRoll.gif.
Let's make it happen, y'all. Let's make it happen. All right. So Adam, you alluded to this earlier. Alabama has lost pretty much everybody on the offensive side. Just yesterday, Dan Enos was announced that he's going to be the offensive coordinator at Miami. We know that Mike Locksley has left to be the head coach at Maryland. We have also lost the offensive line coach, Brent Key. He's gone to Georgia Tech. So the only coaches left on we've also lost Gaddis. Gaddis went to be offensive coordinator at Michigan. The only coaches left on the offense is Joe Panunzio at running back and Jeff Banks for tight ends and special teams, which Jeff Banks is a huge stick, I think, because he's a huge recruiting guy.
He's a huge what?
Recruiting guy.
You said he was a huge stick, and I'm like...
Yeah, it's good that he's stuck around.
Oh, okay. I was like, is he a large piece of wood?
So Alabama has an offensive line coach, an OC, and a quarterbacks coach, and a wide receivers coach, really, to fill. Defense, there is some rumor that Tosh is looking at Georgia. There's no defensive spot open. So the entire defensive side of the ball is staying as of now. I think that that's the side of the ball that Alabama needs to look at and possibly do something with. So what are y'all's thoughts on that?
I think it could be a positive just as much as it could be a negative. I get not having continuity is a problem, but there were clearly some flaws in game plans. The best game plan Alabama had this year was LSU. Both sides of the ball. There were times, remember the Arkansas game early in the season, we were talking, we said, hey, Tosh Lupoy may not be the defensive coordinator next year, the way Alabama wasn't prepared for Arkansas. And I get it. This defense was shorthanded at times, especially having guys get injured in the national championship game. But the defensive game plans were not always as strong. And I get you have to plan based on the personnel you have. but there were a lot of flaws there in the defensive game plans throughout the season. So maybe Tosh leaving wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, especially if he went to Georgia, because that would, well, you see how that plays out. The only person I really was hoping to keep was Mike Locksley, and he was going to Maryland, and you couldn't deny him that. I'm excited for Mike Locksley. Dan Enos seemed to be like the quarterback whisperer this year with Tua and Jalen, but with the way things looked at the final few games of the season, it may not be the worst thing ever that Dan Enos leaves. He has some success, but he also has some questions in his track record where he's had teams that didn't perform well. So it may be as much of a blessing as it is a curse having turnover this year.
Well, I had thought. Go ahead, Adam.
Sorry. I was just going to say, for every one person that leaves, there's three better trying to get in. So I think we'll have our pick to be able to, if it's not continuity in terms of the same person, but at least continuity in terms of the success that we had on the field. I think it'll give us maybe even a different look and take advantage of things, a fresh set of eyes. And I'm fine with that. But the article that I've seen says departure of fourth Alabama assistant leaves Saban coaching staff shredded. And it's just so dramatic when we're talking about, we lost one freaking game and we have turnover in the coaching ranks. This is the stuff we've been dealing with for a decade now. And maybe not the loss in the Natty, but overall, this turnover has been there. We've continued the success. We'll continue it now. We'll find the right people to plug in the holes. This is what Saban's good at. So I'm not that concerned. I think it just shows, again, the value of the opportunities that Saban gives his people and the value of what they're able to develop. So I think it's a good thing for the program because it'll bring someone in who then wants to stay for a couple of years and have that promotion again. I don't mind us being a stepping stone in that regard, as long as we can continue to see success.
Yeah. Well, the show is now a member of Bama Insider, which is the Rivals Alabama board. So this is the people that are on the list for who this writer, Kyle Hendrickson, thinks are in line for the offensive coordinator job. Let me read these lists and kind of who they are, and let me get y'all's reaction to what you think. First one on the list is a name that a lot of Alabama fans have moaned and bemoaned and hated for their entire life. T. Martin. Thoughts?
Yeah, no thanks.
Really? He was a good O coordinator and a great recruiter at USC.
He got fired from USC because USC's been horrendous. We spanked USC.
Yeah.
T. Martin's available because USC's offense was so bad.
He's in Alabama. He's from the state of Alabama. He's a Mobile boy.
Well, that's great. He can go coach at South Alabama.
Okay. Well, how about this guy? He's a Birmingham native. Right now, he oversaw the 32nd ranked team in the offense in the country with an average of 440.1 yards per game. This guy also served as an offensive coordinator at Memphis in 2016. Notre Dame's offensive coordinator, Chip Long.
Yeah, because we were really impressed.
Did you watch
with Notre
the playoffs? It's like statistic. They got blown out. Okay, all those stats are gone now.
Okay, so the coaching rehab that Nick Saban does. How about former North Carolina head coach and great Memphis head coach Larry Fedora? Okay. Hearing none.
Yeah,
okay.
About that.
He was the offensive coordinator at Florida for a while. Here's one that'll get you really excited. He was the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys, Adam. Derek Dooley.
Oh, my God. No. We don't make crimson pants. Sorry.
Yeah. Hold up. Yeah, they do. I've got some.
Oh, Dave, don't sell yourself out like that.
I actually think Derek Dooley while Derek Dooley would not be my first choice, I think Derek Dooley makes a lot of sense because he and Saban have a history together. They've worked together before, and just seems to make a lot of sense that Saban could stick with somebody that's kind of familiar.
Well, this season he was helping. He was a tight ends coach at LSU. He was the offensive coordinator this season at Missouri. They were the number 13th total offense, 481.8 yards per game, 18th in scoring offense, 36.6 points per game. You know, it could work. Here's one, a blast from the Saban past.
Wait, who was Missouri's offensive coordinator?
Derek Dooley.
Derek Dooley was this year?
Yeah.
So it shows exactly how much I care about Missouri football.
Yeah.
See, there
Yeah,
you go.
see, I like that. Let's bring in Derek Dooley. I'm fine with that.
So here's a blast
Well,
from the Saban past.
he did coach. He coached wide receivers for the Cowboys too, didn't he?
And offensive coordinator, yeah.
Yeah, but he grew up in Athens, so we're gonna have to fight Georgia for him.
Yeah, well, I don't think Georgia wants him because they just
Good.
yeah. Here's a blast from the Saban past. His offensive coordinator, his first year at Alabama, just got fired from Houston. Major Applewhite.
Yeah, no thanks.
I remember that first year too well. No, thank you.
Well, look at who Saban had to work with. Here's
Parker Wilson.
yeah.
Sorry.
Here's a decent one. In 2015, this guy was part of the Ole Miss team, or part of the Ole Miss staff that helped beat Alabama. He was the quarterback's coach. So he set records for 531 points scored, 68 touchdowns, total offense of 6,731 passing yards, passing touchdowns at 35, 450-plus points that year, over 600 yards scored in 3 games that year. He's now the quarterback's coach at South Carolina, Dan Werner.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not super enthused. I'm not super enthused about that.
So how about the offensive coordinator at South Carolina, Brian McClendon?
No.
Oh, here's one that's going to get your this is going to make you so happy. You ready?
Uh-oh.
This guy was the head coach at Cincinnati from 2010 to 2012. He was the head coach at Central Michigan from 2007 to 2009.
It's Butch.
He likes to bring.
Spoiler,
it's
it's Butch.
He likes to bring bricks to campus and build things brick by brick by brick. He's on the campus right now as an intern. How about Butch Jones?
Well, what separates Butch from all of these other candidates is that he's actually won a championship before. His players are champions in life. And they've got the rings to prove it.
Hey, I got to tell you, the one thing Butch has going for him, he has totally sold out on the Alabama thing. The dude came to campus, wore crimson, said "Roll Tide." I mean, he wasted no time. Have you mentioned Matt Canada?
No, I haven't.
In your list,
not in this list, but heck yeah, I would love Matt Canada.
I would like Matt Canada.
And I think that Mike.
Would you after the
would.
way Canada handled things at LSU? It would be fun to beat LSU with Matt Canada, but after it didn't work for him at LSU, but no, I hate to say this. I didn't think I'd say this. I think Derek Dooley is the best option on that list.
Oh wow!
Oh my gosh! Really?
Who would you go with? Who of that list? Who would you go
now
with?
our staff is shredded. Now it's shredded. I agree with the article now.
Of that list, I would say Fedora, Chip Long, T. Martin. Those are my 3.
Pick one.
Chip Long.
Adam, who you got?
I'm with you. Ben.
Wow.
You want
If
that
not
cowboy
Matt
offense?
Canada, then either Butch or Derek. We take a Tennessee guy.
Now, there's 3 Tennessee guys on this list. T. Martin.
Oh, T. Martin. That's right. Yeah.
So, this just y'all going with Derek Dooley makes my skin crawl.
It's not ideal.
Anything we can do to make you comfortable, Dave.
Oh gosh.
I'm still hoping for the Brian Dable hire, where we have somebody that we pull out of the NFL that's like some sort of dark horse offensive coordinator candidate.
Yeah.
Well, do we need to talk NFL right now? No, we'll save that for a little bit later because the worst quarterback in Alabama history just got named a head coach in Alabama.
No, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that right now because that's actually who I was hoping would be the offensive coordinator. I was hoping one Mr. Freddie Kitchens would be the offensive coordinator because Freddie, albeit not the best quarterback in the world, has actually become a pretty good coach. And I was hoping that Cleveland would try him out, in some interim roles and then say, all right, we're bringing in like a whole new coaching staff. But the Browns actually had some success with Freddie Kitchens, so they've made him the head coach. And, maybe he'll be like Dabo. Maybe, he's that interim guy that comes in and becomes the head coach and things really take off. This could be a new era for the Browns, but I was actually hoping that Freddie is a pretty good offensive mind, and he liked to sling the ball. I was hoping that he would be coming down to hang out with Saban for a little bit.
So is the fire potentially put out in the dumpster, Ben?
Oh my gosh, yeah, his favorite player in the NBA is now in Cleveland. He's got a good head coach that he likes in Cleveland. Ben, are you becoming a Cleveland fan?
I am rooting for Freddie Kitchens to do well in spite of Baker Mayfield being his quarterback. The Cleveland Cavaliers are still a dumpster fire. There's no doubt about that. I think like they are. It's like they started tanking after their first 10 games. They're like, okay, yeah, we're done. So
Okay.
Cleveland's still a dumpster fire. Cleveland. The Browns have got to make a playoff game before I say they're not a dumpster fire.
Okay.
They have a historic legacy of being a dumpster fire. Though right now, the way they're playing, it's like there's embers burning. It's not like a full raging dumpster fire. It's like it's burned down to just embers in the bottom of the dumpster. Yeah, I'm totally getting a call from Cleveland about this.
Yeah, you are. I know you are. I hope you do. So I've got a name to throw out there for offensive coordinator. He just left his post at head coach somewhere, and he's a great offensive mind. Nick Saban and him have gone head-to-head numerous times, and he's got the best of Saban every now and then. He's only in his mid-50s. What about Urban Meyer?
Quite honestly, I'd rather hire Gus as the offensive coordinator.
Hey, I've got a good name to throw out there for offensive line coach. He's an Auburn boy. I hate to say this, but if you follow him on Twitter, he has the best insight of offensive line anybody. What about Cole Kubelik?
I saw somebody suggest that on Twitter, and I actually think that I have heard worse ideas.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good X's and O's guy. He
really is.
He gets line play. He doesn't just get offensive line play. He gets defensive line play and understanding the matchups. So, yeah, it wouldn't be a terrible idea.
It really wouldn't. And I hate saying this because he's an Aubie, but I would love to see Cole Kubelik on the sideline in Crimson.
Once we get Derek on the sideline, we're hiring everybody at that point. Doesn't matter where you're from.
All right, so let's talk about the other mass exodus happening in Alabama right now. Players leaving, either going to the NFL or going to other schools. Friday, there was announced 4 people going to the NFL. Irv Smith Jr. wasn't at the conference, but he has since said he's going to announce. We've got Jonah Williams, which we pretty much knew that was coming. Q going to the NFL, who could possibly be the number 1 or 2 pick. He would have been dumb not to come out. The one guy that makes me scratch my head, he had a good career at Alabama, but I just don't think he's proved enough yet. Josh Jacobs. I think that Josh could have decided to stay a couple of years or one more year and prove himself a little bit more in this Alabama system. I don't think the NFL has seen enough of him yet.
Well, I think there's a lot of things at play. Yeah, I don't know that there's been enough to see about Josh Jacobs, but he's definitely raised his status this year. Even though in the depth chart, by some measures he was the 2nd or 3rd running back for most of the season, he played like the number 1 running back. And I think, showing him off in the Wildcat didn't hurt his prospects any. And I think, Josh Jacobs is sitting there working out with the running backs, and he's looking over at a guy named Damian Harris, who probably has had his draft stock lower over the past year by sticking around an extra year. There's a lot of injuries out there. There's a lot of opportunities to screw up your draft status. And if your draft status is pretty good, it doesn't hurt to go for the money. Also, there have been numerous features about Josh Jacobs and his family and some of the difficulties Josh Jacobs has had to overcome to get to where he is. And if you've got the chance to make good money and take care of your family, I totally respect that. And I think that's what's at play. So hoping for the best for Josh Jacobs, that he scoops up a whole bunch of money. And I think he could be, doing some very good stuff in the NFL soon. I think he's got a good build, and he's the right type of running back for the NFL right now.
And he's got a good head on his shoulders. I truly do think that he is one of the good guys that's going to go in the NFL draft. Another guy, and another reason, and I can't think of the kid's name that we got coming in, but Alabama has the top running back in the country from the IMG Academy coming in. So maybe that played into Josh Jacobs' call a little bit too, because it does seem like Alabama is bringing in a lot more talent at running back. And maybe Josh doesn't want to teach these guys. He just wants to go in and, like you said, Ben, go in and get the money to help his family out. Another guy leaving, not going to the NFL, possibly going to another ACC team, because today he is actually down in Coral Gables, going with his former quarterbacks coach, looking at the University of Miami. Gone, Jalen. Jalen has finally put his name in the transfer portal, and it looks like the two schools I've seen that he's going to take an official visit to will be Maryland and Miami, which totally blows my picks out of the water. I was going to say TCU or Oklahoma.
I think Oklahoma's still on the table. I think that's still in the considerations. And watching Sports Center last night, they showed Jalen on Sports Center at the Maryland basketball game. So he didn't waste any time to go hang out with Mike Locksley a little bit more. And yeah. Why wouldn't you? The way he's played with Enos and Locksley, it seems like a great fit to stick with one of those coaches. And you think about learning curves. Yeah, I think you could learn a lot about offense from Lincoln Riley, but you've only got 1 year to do this. Why not stick with the guys you're familiar with? So Maryland and Miami seem like two really good prospects. Miami to me makes a lot of sense, because, or at least I think it'd be really funny, because it kind of trolls Lane Kiffin, who for a while has promoted the idea that Jalen could come to Florida Atlantic, and Jalen's like, no, I'm going to go to real Miami, not fake Miami. not Boca. I want Miami.
While he's down in Coral Gables, he could theoretically just scoot on over to Boca, and this could just throw everybody off and say, oh, by the way, I'm going to Boca.
Yeah, no.
Okay. I'm sad to see him go. But this is one player, and Adam, this is going to go totally against what you have said in the past. This is one player that his name is truly writ in crimson flame. He carries the moniker of what it means to be an Alabama football player. Team first, self second. I hate to see the man go. I understand why he's going. I thought he could have been a candidate to maybe throw himself in the NFL draft just to see what he could get, because his numbers looked better this year. He looked like a pure passer a lot of times. I thought what he showed us in that SEC championship game might have been enough to say, let's throw my name in the draft and just go from there. I don't know. We'll see. It's also not a done deal that he's not leaving Alabama. I think in my mind that it pretty much should be a done deal. But there is still a chance, because he has been accepted into the business school at Alabama to get his master's. But if my money is anywhere, I say my money is he goes to Miami, because he's learned so much under Dan Enos, and he has a chance to play Clemson in the ACC championship. And imagine this, gentlemen. Miami's lost one game this year. They faced the undefeated Clemson for the ACC championship. That puts Jalen Hurts in the playoffs. Can you imagine either a first or second round? Because Alabama's schedule is a joke next year. Alabama, if they don't go undefeated in this schedule, it's bad. Can you imagine either the first or the second round of the college football playoffs? You get number 13 versus number 2, Jalen versus Tua. Can you just see ESPN for a whole month talking about Jalen versus Tua?
That would be extraordinary.
It would, yeah. I love it.
That's how the movie script ends. That's how the movie ends.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. I love it.
And here's the thing. Think about this. Dave, who's your all-time favorite Alabama quarterback?
Jay Barker.
And what is his most significant accomplishment?
Beating Miami.
Have you spent your entire life predisposed to hate Miami?
I have.
Wouldn't you have to cheer for Miami if Jalen Hurts is the starting quarterback?
No.
Not in the national championship game against Alabama, but I mean like for the whole season until they played Alabama, you would pull for Miami.
No.
No?
I would pull for Jalen to have good stats.
You wouldn't be like a secret Miami fan?
Ben, just like
I'll
I
admit
have
it. I'll admit
always-
it. I'd
no.
be a secret Miami fan. I've hated Miami
No.
my whole life, but if Jalen's their quarterback, I'll be like, let's go to the U. Exactly, Adam. Adam's putting up
Yep.
the hands. You know, I'd be all about Miami. That people would be like, Ben, what's your favorite ACC team? Miami. Hurricanes. The U.
The Canes. Look, I have grown up to hate Miami. I will put it like this. I love Alabama's defense. What team has basically drafted the Alabama defense?
The Redskins.
Hey, Adam, you're a Cowboys fan.
Yes.
Are you a secret Redskins fan and want the Redskins to win every game until they play Dallas?
I'm supportive of our players in the NFL, but I do not root for the Redskins now.
See, that's the exact way that I will be with Jalen.
But that's different because like the Redskins are like a natural rival to the Cowboys. They play twice every year. We haven't seen Miami. We're playing Miami in 2021, I think. We're
Yeah.
starting off
Let's-
the
let's-
season, but Jalen won't be there. We can hate Miami then.
Let's put
Yeah.
this to you, Ben. What if Jalen does the unthinkable and transfers to Auburn? Would you secretly root for Auburn? Would you secretly say the
No.
Auburn Creed?
That's different. One, there's two things. One, that's different. Two, Auburn is not a rival like Miami is a rival. Those are two different things. Two, Jalen's not going to Auburn because Jalen is an intelligent, upstanding individual. And he's looked at Auburn and said, "No, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole." There's
What
no
if he does?
there is no quarterback of Jalen Hurts' caliber that's like, "Oh yeah, let me transfer to Auburn. That would be a great idea right now."
Cam Newton did.
Right now, Cam Newton would not. Coming off of the season Auburn just had, with all the doubts about their head coach clearly being on the hot seat, Cam Newton would not transfer to Auburn today.
Hey.
This
Hey,
is a
Ben,
great
how-
off-season
how-
debate. We were going to use this
How
again.
bad was Auburn in 2009?
They were not good.
When did Cam transfer to Auburn?
Yeah, I get it. I understand. He's in this day and age, in this year, in 2018, 2019, Cam Newton would not be coming off this season and going to Auburn. Auburn's
So this
in
is
worse
the part
shape
of-
now than they were 10 years ago when Cam Newton went there.
This is the part where our producer, when he's editing the show, plays a little clip of "Go on, take the money and run." Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
So right.
Throw
so,
that in there, right there.
So here's my question for you, Dave. If Jalen transfers to Auburn, would his name be unwrit in Crimson Flame?
No, but there would be a lot of people who would for years do the same thing that we did to Antonio Langham. You know, for a long time, people threw like stuff to fill in his hands and foot there at Denny Chimes because he got us in trouble in 2004.
Yeah.
But I think as the years go by, people will remember Jalen for what Jalen's known for, and not that one stupid mistake he made.
So while we're talking entering the draft, can I ask you guys one quick question? I don't want to do a tangent. I just want a quick poll of you guys.
you sure this is good? You sure this is right, Adam?
It's good. Kyler Murray, baseball or football?
Okay, so I was listening to Three Man Front yesterday, and they had this same question. They said, is he more likely to play a snap in as a starting quarterback in pro football first, or start in the outfield for the Oakland A's first? I think if he is smart, he will try the draft. He's going to try to do a two-sport thing. I think that he's going to stick with baseball because baseball has the longevity. Quarterback is not where he's at. I think that he never truly thought he was going to be this good at quarterback. I think in the long run, he will stick with Oakland or whoever has him. I'll say baseball. And
What if the Raiders draft him or the 49ers? 49ers could be like, yeah, that's really close to Oakland. The Raiders would be in Las Vegas before he could really do something significant. But, you know, somewhere out there on the West Coast be like, yeah, we'll make this Oakland thing work.
Well, let me look this up. I hadn't even had this look. Where are Oakland's farm systems?
That's a good question.
I'm looking this up. Y'all talk amongst yourself while I'm
Look,
Googling.
I would love to see two sport athletes because yeah, Bo
The
Jackson.
Las Vegas Aviators.
Oh,
Boom.
There you go.
Formerly the 51s. Yeah. I'll have to get rid of my 51s hat if he plays for them. But
There
I'm not a
it is.
big fan.
There it is.
But there
He
you
could-
go. So
he
he'll
could be-
play for the Raiders. Go ahead, Ben. Yeah.
he could be with the Raiders and be in the Oakland farm system.
I was listening to ESPN Radio this week, and they had a good point. If he goes in the NFL draft, the money he can make quicker is more significant than he can make in baseball. Plus, can you see someone like Kyler Murray winning the Heisman, and the very first thing he does is go play for Oakland, where he's on the Aviators or someone else riding a bus through the desert to their next game? We're talking Kyler Murray on a bus in the desert.
There'd be
heading to
some really
stadium.
great hazing going on.
yeah, there would.
I think he'll cut his teeth in the NFL and then jump to baseball. I'm with you, Dave. I think the potential for money is too great. I mean, even if he was a backup for a couple of years, he could make so much more money being a backup right now in the NFL than he could playing baseball.
The quick
And
money,
still have
the
a
quick
baseball
money,
career.
the quick money is in the NFL. The longevity is in baseball.
Yep,
And it's like,
absolutely.
would you rather make $100 million in 6 years in football and get your head rocked, or would you rather make $100 million in baseball over a span of 15, 20 years and be reasonably healthy?
Here comes my tangent. What makes Kyler Murray good is his legs, his speed, his elite speed. He's not going to be able to do that in the NFL. Baker Mayfield's great, but he's got a cannon for an arm. What makes Kyler Murray great, is he's got a decent arm with elite speed.
I think his arm is better than decent. I think he's got a great arm. I think the mobility is challenging because there's going to be a lot faster defenses he's going to have to face in the NFL. But on the whole, I think the biggest challenge for him playing football is his height. And that's not to say there haven't been guys like Tony Romo and to an extent Baker Mayfield's not super tall that can come out there and play well as short guys. Drew Brees is not the tallest guy. But Drew Brees gets out there and gets it done. But some of these guys, you got to wonder how they're able to see past their offensive lines. They're so short. And I think height is going to be a challenge for Kyler Murray. So I still think he's more equipped to be a shortstop, to be some sort of baseball player, just on the basis of height. I think that's going to be a huge challenge.
Yeah, I agree. I think that his height is going to be the biggest thing. I know you bring up Drew Brees in the situation, but Drew Brees has a cannon. Drew Brees has longevity. Drew Brees has a good offensive line. When Kyler Murray is going to get drafted to one of these probably early round teams, they don't have an offensive line, and he will get his head rocked. Well, and it's going to be bad.
And maybe he's just going to feel it out to see if he gets drafted by a team that does have a good offensive line.
Will the Oakland A's allow him to do that, though? The Oakland A's control him. You have to remember that.
Yeah, but he's going to enter the draft.
Yeah, I don't know.
The A's have given him $1 million. That's what they've given him.
$4 million.
So he's got $4 million. If he signs as a quarterback and he gets drafted in the first round, like some people project he could be, he could make up $4 million really quickly. He could sign a $30 million contract right out of the gate, and that $4 million from the A's not be that big of a deal.
Yeah, that's true. All right, well, there's our football talk. Speaking of elite talent, let's talk about our sponsors, Roo Sport. We know that they are down there at the Walt Disney World Marathon right now because we've had some correspondence with them. And Adam, I've found out that at least Roo Sport, I don't know if Brenda and Earl are going to be there, but at least Roo Sport will be at the Princess Half Marathon events where we can go. What is the word I'm looking for? The
Expo.
Yeah.
Boom.
How did I forget that?
Right.
But they're going to be at the Expo where we can go in and we're going to try to get some live quotes from them and maybe try to record a promo.
Sure.
With the Roo Sport guys. But
Facebook
guys,
Live, Twitter, it'll be everywhere.
It'll be everywhere. Guys, if you haven't had the chance to see the Roo Sport product, Adam and I use it all the time. We talk about it every week. But go to www.theroosport.com. Use the promo code Sideline30. You get the 30% off their entire product line. And the product that Adam and I use the most is this beltless magnet bag that you can put. Adam, go ahead and say the line.
Sorry, beltless magnet bag. That's a fantastic. I love it. No, it is a pouch that clips to your waistband with magnets, so you can run without the bulk of belts or bags. There you go.
You don't have that bulky bag there as you're running that has all your waters and everything. You can put your phone in there. This year, I haven't tried this yet, but I'm going to try it where I can put my phone in the bag and just use my watch for the entire run. Now, technically, I can leave my phone at home because I have the Apple Watch. But I'm going to try it so I can do the Facebook Live where you can see how Adam and I are dying halfway through the race, where Adam's wife has already finished the race and left us. Because Blair has already said she's not sticking with us, right?
Oh, she's changed her mind.
Oh, really? She's going to stick with us now.
She's probably going to stick with us. She's going to have to if she wants to run with me. I'll tell you that much, because between my Achilles and my knees, she's going to have to. She's going to have to hang out if she wants to. I think she's okay with that, though.
Okay, good. So we're just going to do a leisurely stroll through the park. But you can use this product for more than running. Ben, you've used it for all your hippie festivals you go to, right?
The Roo Sport definitely can come in handy in a ton of things besides athletic activity. It is so convenient, and there's a ton of times where you're sitting, you're standing, you don't want to necessarily have stuff in your pockets. So that's where Roo Sport comes in. It keeps everything right there on your hip, but it's also not like where things can fall out of your pockets and you can lose stuff. It also helps in a situation where you think you're going to be around pickpockets if you're traveling. Boom, There you go. Roo Sport keeps everything close at hand. Pickpockets aren't going to be able to figure out a Roo Sport because the Roo Sport's that good. And a pickpocket can get in your pocket. A pickpocket's not going to be able to get into a Roo Sport.
This is not a scientific fact. Y'all don't hold Roo Sport or Sideline Warning responsible for if you get your stuff stolen.
It makes it a lot more difficult. You gotta say, why is that robber so close to me?
And a new thought that we haven't thought about using this product for is what Ben is going through right now. You go on walks with this puppy of yours, and you've got your phone in one pocket, your keys in the other. Do you have room for your treats? Do you have room for your bags to clean up the dog's mess? Boom! Throw it in your Roo Sport.
There you go.
There you go.
I haven't even thought about that. See, that's the thing. Every week we find a new use for the Roo Sport, and the possibilities seem almost endless.
I love it. And Dave just gave them a new tagline. Boom! Throw it in your Roo Sport.
There you go.
That should be their new thing.
All right, www.theroosport.com. Use the promo code Sideline30. That is spell the word sideline, all lowercase, 30, the number 30. Get 30% off your entire order. We love it. Something else that we don't agree that we love. We got to talk about round football.
Some people call it basketball.
Yeah. Well, Ben, we're a fog. Adam and I are fogs.
Finally, you're
football only gumps.
Finally, you're accepting it.
But we go to a school that doesn't want to be a FOS, but truly it is a FOS because we have a crappy coach. Go ahead, Ben. Let's get into your basketball rant.
You all like we can't even introduce a basketball segment without you just like spilling all this hate. Like, see, Dave, I don't understand why there's so much hate in your heart. I don't know why you can't just enjoy things that are good, like Alabama beating Kentucky. We were trying to find an explanation for losing the national championship. Clearly, Alabama athletics used all their juice to beat Kentucky.
Great. Alabama beat Kentucky for the first time in 12 tries? And we beat Kentucky. That's wonderful. But then what happens right after Kentucky, Ben? We turn around and poop the bed on Tuesday and lose to LSU at the Pete Maravich Center.
The SEC is going to be very difficult to win on the road for any team, not just Alabama. So I think
Kentucky will win on the road. Oh, wait, they did.
I'm not going to say every team is going to lose every road game. That's not what I'm saying. I'm going to say it's going to be difficult, and LSU is a good team. They're playing really good basketball, and Alabama had a very bizarre first half and then played a really great second half. And there's a ton of positives. And if you don't feel good about the way the team played in the second half, if you're not excited about how this team's played against Kentucky, the product is vastly improved from when Adam completely dismissed the team after the UCF game. So I think you should be a little bit more optimistic about this basketball team. They almost undid themselves from tournament talks, and now there's several tournament projections saying, hey, you know what? Alabama's looking like a 10 seed. They're starting to move in the right direction, and this team is playing much better basketball. You want to be fearful about this LSU game. Well, LSU in the first half was 8 of 10 from the three-point line, and they haven't done that at any point this season. That is, at some point you have to factor in luck on basketball games, and LSU just got lucky in the first half. If they don't hit all of those three-point shots, Bama wins that game.
Okay, well, let me. You say coaching is getting better, right? They changed the coaching up. Well, Ben, this is something that you sent us. This is a coaching mistake. Alabama is 7-0 when Tevin Mack plays 20 minutes or more. But they are 3-4 when he plays less. So how is it coaching that they are not coaching to put Tevin Mack in more?
They have been putting Tevin Mack in more.
7-0 when he plays more.
Yes.
3-4 when he plays less.
Wait. It's all about the context with stats. He played 19 minutes against LSU. So, Dave, you're saying if he'd have played one more minute, yes, we would have scored 9 points and tied them, or 10 to win in a minute?
We were only up. No, we were only down by like 2 with a minute and a half left to play, and then we had to start fouling. That's why.
So that minute
there was also
in your mind.
There was also, not if he'd played the last minute, Adam. If he'd played a couple more minutes in that game, I think Alabama would have been in better shape. You also had a phantom call against Riley Norris there at the end, where
that was horrible.
That was bad.
And again, that completely undid some momentum there. Alabama's still down 2 at that point, and if that foul's not called on Riley Norris, if it's called on the LSU player instead, which it could have been, or if there was just no call, you have a very different situation there in the final 60 seconds of that game. But I think Tevin Mack playing more and playing well has been really important to this team. Earlier in the season, you guys were ranting. Dave, you made this point several times. You go, well, Ben, where's Tevin Mack? You said he's going to make the team better. You said he's going to make the team better. Well, now he's making the team better. He's playing.
He's great. He's making the team better, but he's not. The coaches aren't playing him like they should.
They have been. They've started him. His minutes have increased, and he just needed a couple more minutes in the LSU game. So let's see what happens. We got Texas A&M coming up. Today's the sideline brunch. We were sitting here brunching while we're recording this episode. Alabama is going to take on Texas A&M this afternoon. Hopefully Tevin Mack gets some more time. And what that does is it makes defenses start centering on him. Alabama wouldn't have beaten Kentucky if it wasn't for Tevin Mack. He had 22 points in the first half of that game, and that significant contribution shocked Kentucky. They were like, wait, hold on, what do we do? And that opened up things in the second half where other guys like Kyra Lewis were able to score. So I think that's going to be key, is letting your scorers be scorers and get out there. If you look at KenPom stats, if you look at team stats on the whole, Alabama has improved dramatically on offense from where they were at the beginning of the season. At the beginning of the season in KenPom, Alabama was looking like one of the 90th best offenses, and now they're actually moved up to the low 60s, where they are in offense. Is that perfect? Is that ideal? No, but it's dramatically improved from where we are on the season. At the beginning of the season, when you guys were saying there is no hope for this team, well, now there is hope for this team, and they've just got to start playing a little bit better in SEC play, and they've got a signature win against Kentucky. They've got something good for the resume going. Now they just need to make sure their conference record looks good, and the SEC is going to have enough teams getting in that if Bama's conference record looks good, Bama's going to be looking at the tournament.
Great. We were looking at the tournament. Is that what we want a head coach to be? Just, let's make it to the tournament. Hey, Nick Saban, all you have to do is make it to the college football playoffs. Hey, Avery, all you have to do is make it to the big dance. So I don't care. Just make it to the round of 63. It's okay. It's okay if you lose in the first or second round, Avery. That's all we care about here in Alabama.
Well, now that they let in 68, our probability is even better.
Well, no, I'm
it's
glad.
69.
I'm glad you guys brought this up.
68, yeah.
When was the last time Alabama made it to the tournament 2 years in a row?
I don't even know.
It's been a long time. To make the tournament 2 years in a row would be a significant confidence boost for the program, and it would be a significant achievement. Is that what you want to do? Is just making the tournament what you want to do every year for forever? No, but you want to return this team to where it starts making the tournament on a consistent basis. That is one of the steps you take on the way to building a championship team. So yes, it would be a significant accomplishment for this team to make the tournament. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do an argument that you guys normally make, and I'm going to take a football argument and use it to justify basketball. So I'm going to
wait. Can I do the Ben reaction? Here we go. Ready?
Yeah. So
Dave iRoll.gif.
So we spent a significant portion of the show talking about one Dabo Swinney. Dabo's first year at Clemson.
Hashtag never Dabo.
Dabo's first year at Clemson went 4-3 as a coach because he took over in the middle of the year. His next year, he went 9-5. The third year, they went 6-7. They had a losing record. They regressed. Did Clemson fire Dabo at that point? No, because the next year they went 10-4, and then 11-2, and 11-2, and 10-3, and then they've gone 14-1, 14-1, 12-2, and 15-0 since then. Clemson is a better metaphor for Alabama basketball than Alabama football is for Alabama basketball. You want to say, hey, would we settle for Saban not making it to the championship game? Clemson was not a top tier program before Dabo got in there, and he's built the program up, and it took some years to do that. Alabama basketball, not a top tier basketball program. Avery is building the program, and he's making significant moves to get the team better.
For every Dabo Swinney argument you have, those are one in a million in between. For every Dabo Swinney argument you have a Rick Stansberry. You have a Cliff. What's the Cliff guy? Cliff Ellis. You have a Avery Johnson. You have a Mark Gottfried. You have people like that. For every Dabo Swinney argument you've got, yeah, it worked for Dabo, it worked for Clemson, but it's not going to be like that for Alabama. Alabama has to have a splash higher to get better. I promise you.
So you say that, but like Alabama can't fire Avery Johnson right now while he's got the team doing decent. And there's not going to be a splash hire that comes to Alabama. Saban came to Alabama because the football program was a top-tier football program with a history of winning. Alabama basketball has a history of making it to the Sweet 16 under Wimp Sanderson and C.M. Newton.
So let me ask you
this. Alabama's basketball program is different from its football program. So you can't expect the basketball program to be run like the football program.
What would excite the fan base, though? The fan base is what has to be excited to show up, to fuel this fire.
Look, the only person that's not excited are the two guys I'm looking at on the screen right now. If you had gone to the Kentucky game, the Coliseum was rocking. The fans were fired up. It was one of the loudest games I've been to in Coleman Coliseum in a long time, and people are excited. Fans that actually give a crap about basketball were fired up when Alabama played in the second half against LSU. You're not fired up. The problem isn't the coach. The problem isn't the team. The problem is you, Dave.
You say that Adam, first off, make your point because this is going to go on for a while.
I'm not stopping this. Go.
Okay. You say that I don't watch every game. Let's get my wife in here. How many Bama basketball games do I miss? Do I ever not watch a game? Am I never not excited to watch a game?
I'm saying you weren't in the Coliseum for the Kentucky game.
You're right. I wasn't in the Coliseum because I live 2.5 hours away from the Coliseum.
And I'm not expecting
and I've got 2 kids. I can't make it to the Coliseum every game. I don't go to every Alabama football game. But I'm excited for Alabama football. I'm excited and hope that Alabama basketball has a shot to be Alabama football type. But Adam, I just love Adam.
Adam's reclining. He's reading a book.
My wife is going to barge in and think, what the crap am I yelling at over here? But Alabama basketball needs to have that excitement. And they have to do something.
You're just not excited.
No, there's not. No, there's not, Ben. You yourself said it at the Huntsville Classic here, the Huntsville Airport Classic. Alabama basketball doesn't have that boom excitement. Let's get everybody to the game.
The arena was dead that night. But in Tuscaloosa for the Kentucky game, the crowd was rocking. There is excitement around the way this team is played. And there are people that are fired up about this basketball team. And I'm just asking you to do the same and give the benefit of the doubt. Alabama has not done anything so bad.
I gave the benefit of the doubt 2 years ago.
Alabama has not done anything so bad that Avery Johnson should be fired in the middle of the year. I don't think he's going to do anything so bad this year that he would be fired at the end of the season. So, Dave, I think you need to just ride this season out and calm down because you're freaking out about the wrong things. Alabama's playing good basketball. They are getting better, and you need to support that.
Adam, go ahead.
May I, please?
Yes.
In 2008, when Clemson hired Dabo Swinney, ESPN said it was a bad move and gave it a D+. And they had 3 seasons where they didn't do good.
Right.
My question, Ben, because we've talked before on this, and I'm not completely unbuckled, but I'm not totally on board with exactly what we've talked about already, that long term, I don't know that Avery's the guy. But at what point do you, Ben, as the significant football or basketball fan on the show, what do you say then if we don't win the SEC or start really overperforming in the SEC by what year? When is it really time? When do you draw the line? Because for me, I was sitting in a random Tijuana Flats here in Orlando. The Alabama game, Kentucky game was on TV, and there's a dude at the next table in a Kentucky hat. I had on my Alabama sweatshirt, and they were sitting there watching the game, and the look on their face was really priceless. I was sitting behind them, but I got a chance to walk around, and they were annoyed, extremely annoyed at what Alabama was doing to Kentucky. And if we continue, yes, it was. If we continue to have wins like that, I'm good. If we continue for our basketball program to make us feel the same way that our football program made us feel on Monday, that's what I think the FOGs are tired of, is the feeling of just and Dave, you do watch every game, but I got to side with Ben a little bit on that one. It's the, well, boys, here we go. Oh, we're playing like normal tonight. Here comes Avery again. Hashtag Har Horberg. I mean, it's not like you're watching the game saying, we're going to do it this time, guys. Roll Tide. I mean, come on.
Have a little optimism.
Oh, golly gee.
Gee, you guys. Roll dang Tide.
Part of what makes Alabama football good is the fans expect to win. And I get it. There's some games in basketball right now that we don't expect to win. We even did it on the show. None of us expected to win against Kentucky. But maybe we need to raise our expectations a little bit, because that's the first step in building a program that does win, is expecting to win.
Wait a second.
But I think to Dave's point.
Hold up now. My expectations are raised.
I'm gonna back you up again on this one a little bit, Dave. I think that just like they did against Kentucky, Avery's going to have to prove that the team can exceed our expectations a few times before we do it. Saban's second year, where we went from 7-6 losing to UL Monroe to making it to the SEC championship, that quick of a turnaround, exceeded everybody's expectations, and everybody was on board from that point. I think we need a few more of those Kentucky wins, and you'll see the guys who are FOGs start to turn and say, okay, I will expect to win, because we've done it 3 or 4 times. But I don't think just beating Kentucky is going to be enough to spark that in the broader fan base.
Alabama was on a 5-game winning streak before the loss to LSU. But
against who? Oh,
against Kentucky, against Arizona, against Penn State.
Stephen F. Austin. Kentucky was a good win. Great.
Stephen F. Austin is a team Stephen F. Austin is a strong mid-major that could very likely make the tournament. And we were playing that game on the road over the holidays. That is exactly the type of game that is ripe for defeat, because those teams come out to play. And Bama has put together some things where they're playing better basketball over the last 6 games, better game plans, better efforts. And I just think there's a cause for optimism. I'm not saying everything's perfect. I'm saying there's a cause for optimism because they're playing better over the last 6 games.
Adam,
I think that Dave, we had a brief conversation when the rankings came out after we beat Kentucky. We weren't even in the top 25, and I think there was one of the polls where we weren't even in like receiving votes. Like we were at the bottom of both at best, probably in the 30 to 40 range. That puts us in the tournament overall. I mean, that puts us in striking distance as long as we're kind of in that discussion, right? And I think to Ben's point, that gets us there. For me, though, I think the voters know exactly what we're talking about right now. We're not consistent enough yet. We're not going to be ranked yet, because for every Kentucky, there's going to be an LSU, and for every Stephen F. Austin, there's going to be a Northeastern. And there's always going to be that rubber match where we end up losing the one we should have won.
Nor am I saying Alabama's a top 25 team.
I
So,
agree.
yeah.
I think we were a little bit surprised, but I think broader everybody kind of knows that the team's not consistent enough yet. If we can win and stretch some SEC wins together, I would venture David Adams might change his tune a little bit. But it can't be one loss, one win, one loss, one win, couple of losses that we should have won. It's got to be that consistency. That's what's going to get the fan base outside of Tuscaloosa on board.
If Alabama goes into the SEC championship and gets that second bye, then I might be okay with it because the SEC now has 2 byes going into their their tournament.
This producer is making his notes. Dave said Dave said he would be okay with it if Alabama gets the second bye of the tournament.
He said he even gave himself an out. He said he might be okay.
I did say I might be okay with it. But the way things are going, the way the schedule moves on, this doesn't seem like it's going to happen this year. I don't think Alabama will get the second bye. It's going to be Auburn, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Florida. Maybe LSU. Those are the 4 teams that'll get the second bye.
So Alabama has to finish in the top 4 for you to be happy.
Decently happy.
Mm-hmm. Florida's 9-5. Wait, Florida's 9-5 and 1-1 in the conference. Alabama's 10-4 and 1-1 in the conference, Dave.
Hey, it's all right. It'll happen.
So you've set the expectation they need to exceed. So there you go.
Yeah, they need to exceed. They need to exceed. Right. So there you go. That's our basketball talk. Guys, do we have anything to pick?
Yeah, we've got basketball games.
Oh, yay.
See, like you're not even happy about picking other SEC games. See you're making my case.
I'm kidding. Let's go.
If you're not like sort of interested in Vandy, Kentucky tonight, I don't know what to do with you, Dave. All right, here we go.
Kentucky.
We're going to pick all the SEC games for today. Our listeners will probably catch these around the time they're happening or perhaps right after, but at least you'll see who is right and who is wrong. All right, Mizzou versus South Carolina.
I got Mizzou
in this South Carolina.
Yeah. This is the battle for Columbus. Mizzou.
What was that again, Dave? Mizzou.
Mizzou.
Yeah, I got Mizzou in this one too.
I'm taking South Carolina at home. It looks like they have figured some things out in recent games as well. Ole Miss traveling to number 14 Mississippi State. Ole Miss is coming off a big win over Auburn because it's hard to win on the road in the SEC.
They just pulled an upset against the fat coach. I don't see it happening again. I think that Mississippi State will come out and win this one. This one is like the Egg Bowl of basketball.
I think Ole Miss has this one. I think they're going to go in and do it again. I think they're going to start stringing together the type of wins that Alabama needs to string together.
Ole Miss is looking really good. They're playing good basketball, but I'm not sure that they're ready to hang with Mississippi State in Starkville. I think that's going to be a raucous crowd. I think advantage to the Bulldogs in that game. All right, Georgia traveling to the Plains to take on number 11 Auburn. Auburn trying to lick their wounds and rebound after a significant loss to Ole Miss. Georgia not looking so hot.
Yeah, this is not the Deep South's oldest rivalry. I'm definitely going to have Auburn winning this one.
Oh, yeah. Georgia's not good, and it's the margin by which they're losing that's concerning for those guys. I think it'll be another big one for Auburn here.
Auburn bounces back this time. But it's not the Deep South's oldest rivalry. Why isn't it? Those teams should want it to be the Deep South's oldest rivalry, Dave.
Dear Lord.
Because it's basketball.
Number 3, Tennessee, looking very good, traveling to Florida. This could be a good test for the Volunteers. Who do you guys like in this game?
Oh, it's so hard to win on the road in the SEC. Tennessee's going to demolish Florida on the road.
Yeah, this is an overmatch, so Tennessee.
Florida has had some miscues as of recently, and I think that gives Tennessee an advantage on the road. Tennessee is a much better team than Florida, although Florida's pretty decent. But I do like the Volunteers here.
But it's hard to win on the road, Ben.
It is hard to win on the road, but not when you're Tennessee playing Florida. You're outmatching Florida by a good bit. And didn't say it was impossible to win on the road. I just said it's difficult, as Auburn proved. So LSU, coming off a win against Alabama, travels to take on Arkansas in Fayetteville. Who do you guys like in this one?
It's so hard to win on the road. I think LSU is going to do it.
It's so hard. Arkansas is actually favored by a point in this one. I think they're pretty even. I'm going to pick Arkansas in this one and go with the home team.
You know what? I'm going to take Arkansas at home. Vandy travels to number 18 Kentucky. How often is it Kentucky is the fourth highest ranked team in the SEC?
It's so hard to win on the road. I got Kentucky winning this one.
Yeah,
So
Kentucky.
you're,
I think.
so you're picking the home team because it's hard to win on the road. Okay.
No, because it's Kentucky.
Yeah, I pick Kentucky too. Vandy's going to be 0-3 in the SEC after this one. They're going to have to get something going.
I think Vandy actually has some potential to make this game interesting, but I think the real advantage here is for Kentucky. So I will take the Wildcats. Do you guys want to pick some later in the week, or we're going to do the show Monday? So we'll have another show coming out soon with some more SEC picks. So you can compare this to see how we did for this Saturday. I know we kind of missed the first couple of games as far as picking everybody in the SEC, but we're going to pick the SEC here on out. So keep listening. You will start to see a trend that it is difficult to win on the road in the SEC.
I tell you what, I'll pull together a sheet. I'll not only track our picks, but I'll also track that very thing in the spreadsheet. How about that?
How hard it is to win on the road in the SEC?
Yeah, it'll track road team record.
Yep.
Road team record.
Cool.
I bet it will be more than 500. The road team will win.
I will. Dave, would you like to make that like a real wager?
Let's do
love
it.
this. Please, yeah.
What are we wagering?
You're going to say road team. You're going to say road team has a better record than 500 in the SEC.
Yeah, I'll take that wager.
And I'm going to say road has a worse record than 500 in the SEC.
But if it's exactly 500, who wins them?
It's a push. It's
No.
Vegas push.
No. If it's 500, Dave gets it.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Stake bet. Like we'll do the jock stake bet.
Yeah, I think stake bet sounds great.
All right, stake
I
bet.
gotta figure out a bet. This isn't
Loser,
fair, man.
loser drives to the other person's city and buys steak.
Deal.
Drive-
Wait. What if Adam wins one of these?
Yeah, I've got to get in on this action somehow.
Oh, actually, Adam gets 500 if it's exactly.
Oh, it's exactly 500. I love it.
Hey, wait, hold up.
No.
Look. If it's exactly 500, Dave and I co-buy a steak gift card to send to Orlando.
There you go.
Okay, that works.
And now, are we taking it from here on out, or are we taking it for the whole SEC season?
The whole SEC schedule.
The whole SEC schedule. So Adam's going to go back retroactively to the first games, and he will track the road record in the SEC for us.
There you go. Stake bet of
that is a solid stake bet.
Love it.
I like it. All right, we got one more game to pick, Ben.
We do have one more game to pick. That is Texas A&M at Alabama. It's a 2:30 tip-off, so we've got to wrap up this sideline brunch so I can get there.
Wait. So since I'm pulling for the road team, do I have to pick Texas A&M? Because they're not going to win this game.
I don't know. I don't know. How do you live with yourself? Alabama's a 7-point favorite, I believe.
Yeah.
In this game.
Texas A&M is not good. Alabama's going to win.
Yeah, I've got Alabama too. And just to measure excitement over the game, this is the cheapest of the SEC games on Vivid Seat at $9 a seat.
Let me ask you this, guys. Ben, are you dressing up in the 80s? Because this is 80s day.
It is 80s day. I am not going to be nailing the 80s apparel though. So
is Bama going to go back and wear the short shorts and the old 80s get up?
No, but they will be honoring the 2018. No, I mean the 88-89 basketball team. So they're honoring a team from the 80s that won the SEC championship.
Was Gottfried on that team?
That's a good question. I think Gottfried may have been on that team.
So is Mark Gottfried going to be on the Alabama court again?
No, because Gottfried's coaching in California. So
is his girlfriend going to? Wait, never mind.
I don't know.
Go ahead and pick the game, Ben.
Well, yeah, I've said A&M versus Alabama. You guys have got to pick a winner and give me a score.
Oh, we got to give a score.
Yeah, it's just like
We
football.
both pick.
If we're going to project football expectations on the basketball team, we got to give score predictions for the games, just like we do with football, Dave.
78-71 62. Bama.
That's a significant margin
Adam,
there, Dave.
You're muted, Adam.
I swear I don't click it and it goes mute. Anyway, I've got Alabama 82-75.
I think Adam's pick is a little bit more reasonable. I am going to take Alabama 78, Texas A&M 72.
Okay. Well, there you go. There's our picks. Ben, if this show's going to wrap up quickly, you start with the sideline warning.
Yes, my sideline warning. We touched on this earlier in the show. I'm just going to go back to it. Congratulations to Freddie Kitchens getting the job as the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. I've spent a significant amount of my childhood hating you and making jokes about you. And the anecdote was always that like Freddie Kitchens could never hit any of his receivers, and people are always joking about that. One of the stories I always heard was the problem with Freddie Kitchens wasn't that he wasn't accurate; it was that he was throwing the ball too dang hard, and the players couldn't catch it. So I'm hoping that legend is true, and that as a coach, Freddie Kitchens coaches so hard that the Browns start winning and make it to the playoffs and cease to be a dumpster fire. So kudos to Freddie Kitchens, and congrats on being a head coach, and congrats on proving that it's not just Saban, it's Bama is everywhere in the NFL. And if you're looking for a narrative on your NFL team, you can almost certainly find a Bama narrative there. So keep looking for that. Best of luck to Freddie Kitchens in the future, and try to rein in Baker Mayfield and keep him happy.
All right, I agree. Adam, you're muted, so
I'm not muted anymore.
You were
doing it right this time. I didn't want to disturb Ben's moment. So I'm actually going to do a plug for the show that comes out in a couple of days and tie it in with a thought. So we're having, let me make sure I say the name right. We're actually having Tom Alexander from the Orlando Apollos on Monday to do an interview with him, and he's part of the Orlando Apollos in the new AAF football league, and so. We're excited to have an opportunity to talk to him and what the season's shaping up to look like for those guys, what the experience that the game's going to be like, and hopefully we can have them on like we have Florida Citrus Sports. So make sure you listen in on Monday. My larger charge, though, is that both Birmingham folks that are around where y'all live, Orlando folks down here, we both have a team. Let's actually give this a shot. Because I had a chance to talk to one of the account representatives for the Apollos out here, and we haven't talked formally yet. But they're actually trying to look at what arena football was like, what an NFL game is like, and compare the experiences. Because they've actually said, I think Spurrier even said it in an interview out here, that they're not looking to compete with the NFL. They're looking to be a complementary product that offers something completely different. And so I know it's spring football. We don't usually think that in the spring. It's even probably going to be small. It's going to feel small for a while, but hopefully it'll build up over time if we give it a shot. And I'd say that especially to the Orlando folks down here, because when we tried this, we try minor league sports and stuff like that, alternative sports, it just doesn't last. The Predators closed. The O-Rays left the year I moved down here, became the Montgomery Biscuits. So let's actually stick with these guys and give them a shot. And if you listen in next week, you'll get a little jazzed about the upcoming season.
Hey, Adam, you said you talked to an account rep?
Yes.
And they're trying to do new things?
Yes.
Sponsorship?
We'll have to see about that.
Okay.
One thing at a time.
Okay. I just got yelled at by Ben on mute. So I was going to do wrestling for my sideline warning, but then I got to thinking this whole time about Adam's sideline report. And if you're not listening to our sideline report, which comes out midweek, which we're starting, you need to. It's about a 5 to 10 minute just rant from one of us, maybe one of you listeners who want to come in and rant, we'll let you do that. But Adam brought up a good point. Fans started moaning and groaning and complaining because Alabama lost a national championship game, claiming the dynasty is dead. The dynasty is dead. We have nowhere to move. You know, being a dynasty means we're alone at the top. First off, we don't want to be alone at the top. How boring was NCAA football when you bring your team up to be the best of the world and you play a game and it's 100-0? That's boring. That was the worst type of sitting down, man, I got to play Northeastern Louisiana of Western Carolina. And I'll know this will be over by halftime, so I'll simulate it. How boring is that to always be at the top? I, for one, welcome the competition. It makes Alabama better. It makes it makes college football better. Yeah, losing 44-16 sucked. It was bad. I don't remember what losing like that felt like. Thank you for bringing up the past, Adam, and bringing that Wayback Machine to remind me how bad I felt after we lost to UCF at homecoming, after we lost to La Monroe, after my freshman year we lost to Louisiana Tech, where Tim Rattay was the quarterback. My mom had to, at the time they were able to bring cameras into the stadium. My mom was filming me in the stands, and as soon as Tim Rattay throws the pass, I say a curse word. Mom quickly moves the camera around and pans, and so she doesn't catch that on camera. But it sucks losing like that. But think about this, guys and gals. Alabama has the number one recruiting class, which possibly could be the best class Nick Saban has ever signed. We've got one of the best running backs coming in. We've got the best offensive lineman coming in from the IMG Academy. 6'7", 345 as a senior in college and high school. Imagine what happens when you put college weight on that kid and muscle on that kid. Evan Neal is going to be a beast at the offensive line. He will probably be starting next year. At quarterback, we lost Jalen. Tua had a bad game. But look what's coming in. Talia Tungavaloa, which is a right-hand version of Tua with maybe a better mind on his head. Paul Tyson. The name Tyson doesn't ring a bell, but he is Paul Bear Bryant's great-grandson. Paul Bryant Jr.'s grandson. He knows what it's like to win at Alabama. Paul Tyson would have walked to Alabama to be a quarterback. He knows he's probably not going to start for another year or two. He's there. He just wants to be at Alabama. Let's remember, these are 18 to 23-year-old kids living out a dream. Yes, we expect to win every game. But when you lose a game, do it with class. When you win a game, do it with class. What I have seen from the Bama Nation on Facebook, on Twitter, on everything this week has not been class. Do it with class and pride for your team. This wasn't the team's fault. This was not these kids' faults. We ran up against a buzzsaw of a better team this year. Be proud of the season we had. Be proud of the season we got coming up, because if you think that loss is going to sit well with this team, you are sorely mistaken. That loss might be the best thing to ever happen to us in 2019. So, guys, just say Roll Tide. Be proud of the school. Be proud of what you have done, have seen on the football field. Be proud of the football team. Be proud of the basketball team. I might dog it, but it's all unfun. Be proud of these 18 to 23-year-olds that are out there putting on the crimson and white for fun. All right.
Dave, I heard that sideline warning, and it just sounds to me like you're okay with losing. I mean, I think we want the football team to play to the standard when Saban won national championships, not when he lost them. I just want to know why you're okay with losing with the football team.
You missed my point.
Dave, I rolled that.
The game was on the road.
Now you know how Dave. What you said, I missed your point. Now you know how I feel all the time.
All right, gentlemen.
Great show, everybody.
All right. If you want to get a part of this show, Adam, did you forget the number? Do you have the number?
I have the number, and I'm not on mute. It's 931-44-BLITZ, 931-44-BLITZ. You'll hear a brief message, and then it'll kick over to our voicemail where you'll hear all the stuff about the show. And then just leave us a message with a question, with a hot take, anything you want us to talk about or that you want to talk about. We'll play it on the show. We do every time. Also, follow us on Twitter. We are at SW The Show. He is at the Ben Foster. I got it right this week. Adam is at Run Tide Run. I am at DAdams419. The show, I said it, SW The Show. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/SW The Show. Like the show. Also join our Facebook fan group. Just search for Sideline Warning Fan Group. We're on Instagram, SW The Show. And something else that we did for halftime of the game, I think we're going to try to do it a little bit more, maybe not weekly, maybe not. We'll try to do it more. We'll try to do more Facebook live chats. Maybe
Adam and I will go live at a halftime of a basketball game. If Ben
no.
is at a
That's terrifying.
All three of us together. Yeah.
yeah, well, Ben's at a basketball game, so that the signal's never that good. So I don't know if he could go live, but
we can do it. We can do it for some road games. Where it's tough to win on the road.
Where it's tough to win on the road. I think that we need to let Ben go live at Facebook, and I'll go live, and we'll give my take when Alabama's losing at halftime. No, I want them to win at halftime because it's tough to win on the road. But anyway, guys, I say it every week. This is going to be a short turnaround because we got a new show coming midweek next week, and the sideline report that Ben is going to take to talk about basketball. But we say it every week. We love you. We will see you guys in the next show. And as always, roll tide.
What Adam's wearing is called Dad Errand Chic.
Yes. What I'm wearing is I just woke up.
So I corralled my puppy, and she started like freaking out, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna be barking the entire show. What are we gonna do? And so I went back to my bathroom while she was corralled, and could still hear her freaking out through like a couple of doors. And I was like, this is going to be a problem. And then she got real quiet, and I go, uh-oh. And I came out, and she has somehow gotten past the corral and 2 folding chairs.
So can I make a suggestion for the name? It's a girl. So can it be Shoeless Jolene?
That's why it's J-O.
She's Shoeless Joe, and when she's in trouble, she's Josephine.
I like it. I
Hey,
do
it
like
can't
the song
be Jolene because that song, man.
Jolene.
It'd just be running in your head all day.
Jolene. Jolene. Jolene.
Oh,
I feel
gosh,
an
that's
outtake
enough.
coming on.
That's enough. That's enough. Who sings that song, Dave?
I do right now.
Nope.
Dang it.
He never falls for our tricks.